Making sure all of our students are reading at or above grade level is a very important component of HISD's district-wide literacy plan. But before we can take students to the next literacy level, we need to first determine where they're at. This year, HISD teachers and principals have a new tool to help them diagnose and develop a plan of action to reach students at all reading levels. Here to tell us more is HISD Chief Academic Officer Julie Baker, along with Rita Graves from Roberts Elementary and Linda Ballard from Elrod Elementary. Thanks for coming today. First, let's talk about why it's so important that for HISD to develop the district-wide plan to make sure that we're all reading on grade level. Dr. Baker, maybe you could start.
Well, thank you. Well, we have been looking at our data for a long time and noticed that we really have way too many students in HISD who are not reading on grade level. And the last couple of years, we've also noticed a trend that our reading scores have been pretty flat. And so we really feel like we needed to have a strategic plan in place so that we address and prioritize improvement of literacy across all grades.
Now, I know that as a board we voted for a formative assessment, and once again I hear, oh, it's a test or something. Maybe you can tell us what the formative assessment is versus other tests.
Well, I think that's a very good distinction to try to make for people because, formative assessment isn't just about kids taking more time for testing. Formative assessment is actually part of what a balanced assessment system should contain. And so a balanced assessment system should contain both summative assessments, like those year-end tests that we give to our students. It also should include benchmark exams that we do periodically during the year just to make sure that all of our kids are where we need them to be during the school year and to determine whether or not they're on track to meet those expectations at the end of the year. Where formative assessment comes in is that diagnostic, that ongoing progress monitoring that teachers and principals can do of their children, and so that at the end of the year it's not really a surprise about where our kids are in their learning.
Now I know that as part of that the item from the agenda that we voted on in August that now you implemented. Tell us about that item.
The item actually supports the implementation of two systems. One is what we call the iStation reading system, and we'll have the principals, I'm sure, talk a little bit about how they're implementing it. But it really is a universal screener. So part of it is this diagnostic assessment that's given again interimly.
Diagnostic assessment, so it kind of tells you where they are at their reading abilities and what facets like vocabulary, comprehension,
fluency, and
word analysis.
And word analysis.
Okay. So you can see where everyone is at fairly quickly.
Yes, actually the assessment can be administered to an entire classroom with between 20 and 30 minutes. So it's very quick. The assessment's given online, students take it online, and immediately reports are generated to the teacher about where their kids are, whether or not they're mastering those objectives or whether or not they're a little behind or even further behind and need intensive interventions.
Now, let's start at the school level. Ms. Grace, tell us how you are implementing the iStation in your school. You're at Roberts.
I am. We are, when you're looking at struggling readers, you know that they do not have one moment to waste in instruction, and you want to act with urgency. We balance that, though, with an implementation that is strategic, and we get one piece in place and so that it stays. And so for us, we have started with the assessment component. We've gotten 2 months of assessment data and are about to have our 3rd month of assessment data. And what's really critical and beneficial about iStation is that it looks at those very 4 discrete skills that kids need to learn to read and helps us identify exactly what area we should be targeting in instruction. So it's helping support my teachers in getting that just right instruction on the very specific skill kids need.
Ms. Ballard, tell us that you're at Elrod. Tell us about how y'all are using it now.
We are using it in our intervention mainly, but teachers also use iStation during their small group and flexible group instruction. So the students rotate through the computer lab 2 to 3 times per week for at least 45 minutes. And now that we've received our laptop cart with 30 computers, we're able to open a second lab that we will have the students to rotate through, which will increase the time that they will be able to spend using iStation.
Yeah, because from what I've heard from some of the teachers, they have fallen in love with this tool, and now they're fighting for the opportunity to use them. One of the issues that we have in HISD is a large ESL population. Maybe you can tell us how you're using it in that population.
Well, the good thing about iStation is that at the third grade level, which again, we're implementing this in grades 3 through 8 and in our reading intervention classes in grades 9. And then we're also going to, we were just talking a few minutes ago, we're going to also implement it in grades K through 2. And so at the early grades, iStation is available not just in English, but it's also available in Spanish. And so we're able to assess our kids in our ELL students, both in the Spanish version and also on the English version, because we're also interested and want them to learn English. And so we actually, those kids are assessed in both languages.
Okay, great. Teachers have accepted in both schools? Have you, everybody's?
Absolutely, absolutely.
We're early in the implementation process, and so we're still working out some of the kinks. But what our teachers have said to me that they're really impressed with is, one, the ability to very quickly assess a whole group of children. And they are very excited about the direct instruction lessons that it provides for teachers. So teachers can take these very well-written lessons and implement those within their small group instruction, and they're very well written, and also
kind
have the
like
components for absolutely, and they have very strong direct instruction lessons for ESL English language learners.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
What about the students? How do they like it?
I've spoken with some of the students, and during my observation in computer lab, it was almost as if you better move, because they were in a hurry to get to the computers. They were so excited. And in conversations with them, they're excited that it's integrated through science content. They like it better than reading books, they said, because it's so much fun that it hardly seems as if they're learning. But because of the game-like activities that they have, I've even had students tell me, I enjoy spelling. I love the hangman, activity to learn how to spell. Another student shared with me that I'm learning how to read faster. So they understand and they see the benefit of the program.
So tell us, how many schools in HISD currently have it, and what grade levels are using it?
Actually, all of our elementary schools have access to it, as well as our middle schools. And then our high schools, who have students in grade 9 who are reading severely behind on grade level, they also have access to it. Now, we're accessing right now in grades 3 through 8, and then in January, all of our elementary schools will have be using iStation in pre-K through 2 as well. So pretty soon it'll be district-wide in all grades pre-K through 8, and then in grades 9 where needed.
Great, great. Well, thank you all again for being here today, and hopefully we'll hear later on in the year how well it's going to all the classes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Coming up, Board Member Paula Harris stops by to talk about exciting things happening in schools in District 4. Don't go away. HISD Up Close will be right back.